Hey everybody, Chief Meteorologist Brad Petovich here. Happy New Year for everybody just tuning in for the first time in 2026. How many times have you put 2025 on, typed it out or on a piece of paper so far this year? It's going to be that kind of day when we start the year here on a Monday for a lot of folks heading back to work and school for the first time after the holiday break. And we've got your live weather impact tonight. And the first week here of January not feeling much like January. I think that's going to be the story that we're going to talk about here over the next 30 minutes, 25 minutes or so. Tim Buckley will be joining me shortly. But let's focus locally because the story for us in Charlotte today was the fog. That was a real story. That fog really cranked up early last night, right after the game. I noticed we had some of our first fog advisories issued, and then what happened is the fog just got worse as the night went on. But unlike typical fog setup, we actually saw it persist for a few areas. But the big story this week is not going to be just the fog. It's the warm temperatures, and they are kind of correlated to each other because the warmer air trying to surge in over the top of cold air at the surface, that creates this inversion that we get in the mornings, and that's going to lead to more fog. So tonight, just so you know, temperatures are going to be cooling down into the 40s, but that's about it. That might seem really chilly to you, but the average low is freezing right now, 32. So this is about 10 to 15 degrees above average in many locations. But we will see that pesky fog reform tonight. A few spots where the fog persisted today, like Morganton, Hickory, Lincolnton, Statesville, Wilkesboro area, that's probably where it's going to be the worst again tonight. I mean, visibility less than a half mile. We actually saw visibility at one point in Lancaster last night at 0. Now, visibility at 0 is officially below a tenth of a mile. That's the lowest measurement that they do with the automated sensor. So that's when you see 0 show up. But there's a lot of fog tomorrow morning. The difference, unlike today, there's going to be some wind in the afternoon and a lot more sunshine around the area. That combination should mix up the atmosphere and allow for that fog to mix out. We'll be talking about this with Tim as well, but inversion fog is something that we saw last night. Get ready. We're going to see more of that. We'll explain what that means coming up in a couple of minutes here, but basically you've got warm air over top cold air. That warm air traps the cold air near the surface, but also all the moisture condenses the moisture into a cloud, and you get fog. And that's all fog is. It's just a cloud at the surface. So if you've never been in the clouds in an airplane or up in the mountains, fog is essentially what you're looking at and when you're in a cloud. Tomorrow, though, this is the good news. Look at that southwest wind. Temperatures tomorrow could soar if the fog gets out of here quick enough, maybe into the mid and upper 60s. Again, this is about 10 to 15 degrees above average, but this is probably not even the warmest day of the week because that southwest flow that we like to call the blowtorch is going to be around most of this week. A weak front tries to approach on Wednesday, but it falls apart, and then we turn our attention to a much bigger front. This will be a big story Friday night and Saturday. And actually, over the next couple of days, we might be talking more and more about this system. This is Thursday at 2 p.m., and that's where we expect it to be in the middle of the country. But as this moves into the Mid-South, I expect there to be some strong, possibly severe storms. I know a lot of folks love warm temperatures, but one of the problems with warm temperatures during the cool season, the winter season, you tend to see severe weather because the jet stream is very strong in the wintertime. And when you get the jet stream over warm, humid surface air, you tend to see severe weather. We see a lot of this in the spring, which is normally because that's when that crossover happens. But when you see it in the winter, you can get a lot of severe weather as well. So this sometimes makes our severe weather season much more prolonged. And in a La Nina winter, you kind of worry about severe weather because it's usually kind of a warm pattern. And when you see this setup, we could see severe storms. Now, Saturday's not in the risk area right now. Don't be surprised if we see this maybe extended a little further east. But what's really interesting to me is this front kind of falls apart as it approaches. So we expect some pretty good storms over in Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, maybe even into the North Carolina mountains before the system literally falls apart as it moves east. So Saturday is not looking like a very impactful day for weather. We have a huge event. Obviously, Panthers home game Saturday evening at 4:30 p.m. against the Rams. We have this huge playoff game. And in January in Charlotte, normally you would expect it to be kind of cool, maybe damp, maybe some wintry weather, not all the time, but 67 for a kickoff is going to be pretty warm. And I do expect a few showers around, but because the front's moving east pretty quickly and it's weakening, I don't expect this to be an all-day kind of washout kind of setup. If anything, If this front continues to show the timing of a Friday night, Saturday morning time frame, it might be completely dry by the time the Panthers play. But there's a caveat. If it slows down, that could put the game more at risk for showers. And if it slows down enough, maybe even thunderstorms, because those storms that occur on Friday to our west, those could reoccur Saturday if the front doesn't clear out of here in time and hits us during peak heating, which would be close to kickoff. So just something to keep in mind. Now, temperature-wise, average low this time of year is the freezing mark. We are not going to be anywhere near that in the next 10 days. In fact, temperatures are going to be way above average. Some of these lows that we are going to see are higher than our average high temperature for this time of year, which is 52 degrees. So think about that. That is super warm air for January standards. Now, next week, you see the big drop, kind of the roller coaster. We're going to see a pretty big pattern change for next week. Now, is it going to be true Arctic cold air? I think it's a little too early to say that, but I do anticipate some pretty significant changes going into next week. I was going to show you real quickly the upper level pattern, but I lost my graphic here. We'll try to show you real quickly if I can find it. Here we go, steering currents, because what I'm going to show you is the ridge that's going to bring us the warm air is going to kind of camp out over us late this week. Right there, the ridge over the southeast, that's a pretty potent ridge over Florida, the southeast. This is going to keep us warm. But then as we go into next week, notice the jet stream dips by Monday over the eastern part of the country and eastern North America. This is a much colder pattern by next Thursday. So this is going to be a pretty significant change in the pattern as we go into next week. So if you like warm weather, enjoy our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day, because this week is all about spring. Temperatures in the 70s, maybe even near record territory. But starting Sunday into Monday, it does look like a significant pattern shift. I'm not ready to go too crazy cold, but it certainly looks near average. And if things trend even colder, it could be below average. But when you go from 70s back to 50s or even 40s, that's a dramatic change. Of course, we'll talk more about that. Snow in Hawaii. Yeah, we got to talk about that and some fog coming up with Tim Buckley in 2 minutes. Stick around.